Now to our mission story. For 18-year-old physically challenged Joshua Benjamin, a proper educational structure that allows persons with disability to have quality education is a key area to be looked at by political parties ahead of the 2016 general elections.
The junior high school 2 student who will be voting for the first time this year wants politicians to make issues of persons with disability a priority.
Article 42 of the 1992 Constitution gives every Ghanaian who is 18 years and above and of sound mind the right to vote. So for 18-year-old Joshua Benjamin alias Stone, registering as a first-time voter does not only open the door for him to exercise his franchise, but also to hold politicians accountable to promises they will be making to improve the lot of the vulnerable in society ahead of the November polls. With support from his mother, Joshua spelled his name for EC officials at Dambai in the Kachi East district of the Volta region in order to complete his form. As part of its electoral reforms, the Electoral Commission, among others, promised to give priority to persons with disability at polling stations. But here, Joshua's struggle to gain access to where his picture would be taken brings to the fore challenges the EC must work on ahead of the elections. And for several minutes, officials here struggled with their machines as they claimed it had failed to recognize Joshua's thumbs.
So remove this one and remove this one.
What do you look at?
Actually, on the phone, you realize that we have options. If the person is physically challenged, whether he has mixing fingers or amputated hands, there you have to treat the person as such. So for instance, when the fingers, some of them are not being picked by the machine, then you have to make it either temporary trauma or permanently.
Because we can see you're struggling to get exactly what
so
the finger is right now for.
Talk about a permanent trauma. It means that there is either the finger is not there, or there is a damage that cannot be cured by time.
Okay.
So a permanent trauma. But a temporary one, maybe a little scar, okay, which can heal within a month or weeks.
But after realizing some details on the earlier form do not correspond with his fingerprint identity, Joshua was brought back to go through another set of ordeal after the machine was shut down for some time. Despite its assurance to improve quality of training staff and equipment, the Electoral Commission would have to do more to ensure persons with disability do not go through so much stress to cast their ballot on voting day. The JHS2 student of the La Paz DS schools in the Karachi East district of the Volta region, Joshua Benjamin, is asking politicians to create a conducive educational environment for people with disability.
I go to school every day. Some days I cannot go to school because
I want a new tricycle so I can go to school every day. I need books so I can learn and pass to secure my future.
I want to be a bank manager.
But how have government and institutions treated and handled the issues of persons with disabilities in this country? And how high are issues of people with disability on the agenda of political parties ahead of the elections? Will it be the usual lip service, or it will be a priority area? Time will tell. Nana Kwekwedia for TV3 News.
Well, that's a moving story.
Absolutely, and I think, just like the report said, a lot more needs to be done by the Electoral Commission in this area to educate a lot more people, especially those who are disabled. What more do we have coming up?
Yeah, meanwhile, persons with disabilities say they have often been left out in decision-making and deprived of access and a listening ear by people in authority and society.
Well, according to the Ghana Federation for Disability, organizations, their rights are often compromised.
In the following report, Evelyn Tingma takes a look at some of the challenges that confront persons with disability in their quest to exercise their voting rights.
From stigmatization, lack of financial and logistical support, to negative social perceptions, persons with disabilities have suffered a great deal of discrimination in the country, even when it comes to their rights to vote and be voted for in district and national elections. They have been marginalized. In November this year, the country will go to the polls to elect a president and parliamentary candidates. Persons with disabilities comprising the physically challenged, visually impaired, albinos, hearing and speech impaired, who form about 2.5% of the country's population, equally have the right to choose who to govern and represent them. Making this choice, according to the PWDs, has often been difficult. The hearing impaired, for instance, are unable to comprehend campaign messages and party manifestos to enable them make choices due to the lack of sign language interpreters by the various political parties on campaign platforms. The Communications and Media Relations Officer, Adam Abdul Wahab, says the absence of tactile ballot jackets at some polling stations, no provision at polling stations for the physically challenged to exercise their franchise, and derogatory remarks are some challenges encountered by PWDs.
And we people with albinism, some of the problems we face are derogatory remarks. Even when you are going to vote, stand on the queue. Somebody will just say, oh, people are coming to vote and albino too. What are you doing here?
National Advocacy Officer Isaac Tugun called for modification of the polling booth.
We are saying that the booth should be at different, or should have different compartments, so that those who can stand and put it on the high level will do that. Those on wheelchair will also put it at a lower compartment. One booth can have that one, so that they also put it on the lower compartment and thumbprint well.
The Federation is also advocating for the change of color of the tactile ballot jackets from the white background. This is because the Federation says if visually impaired members who use the jackets' votes are made known to others, because after thumbprinting, marks are left on a white space, revealing the candidates that they voted for. President of the Ghana Blind Union, George Abelsi, regrets some polling stations are across gutters and in uncompleted buildings, making accessibility difficult. But the head of Gender and Disability at the Electoral Commission, Abigail Nutako, says the Commission is doing its best to making polling stations accessible.
Whenever there's going to be an activity, the Electoral Commission makes sure that it does trainings for persons with disability, for them to be abreast with issues surrounding the particular activities so that they can fully take part in it. Aside that, the visually disabled, as far as the Commission is concerned, there's always a tactile jacket in every single polling station.
She said the Commission is aware of the challenges faced by persons with disabilities, but added the Commission is collaborating with PWDs to ensure they exercise their franchise independently.
There may be a few instances where you meet polling stations that are not sited in much accessible areas, but the Commission is trying so hard to ensure that such polling stations are located in very accessible areas, to ensure that entrance into the centers are quite easy.
It is the hope of all that in the not too distant future, persons with disabilities will also be fully integrated into the universal adult suffrage. Evelyn Tingma, TV3 News.